Thanks for checking out my channel. My name is Chana and this is Jar of Fireflies. Here you'll find content all about my life as an Orthodox Jewish homeschooling mother of 3. And today is my son's first day of 2nd grade. Okay folks, so I am taking you guys along today on a typical day in the life with us as we have my son's first day of school. I'm so excited. My daughter started about a month ago, but my son is starting today. My daughter may or may not be doing any school today. She's been feeling a little sick. She managed to get strep again. So we're kind of dealing with that and just kind of really taking it easy with her. She didn't do any school last week. And like I said, this week, maybe not. We're just gonna kind of see how it goes and what she wants to do. This video today is also a collaboration with Chana over at Jewish Education at Home. She has an awesome channel with tons of great homeschooling information for Jewish families, so be sure to go over and check out her channel. I will link to it below in the description. All right, now let's go get this day started.
One of the things that I love to do on the first day of school or when we're starting a new literature selection or something like that is to gift wrap the book, and then at the beginning of the school day, my child gets to unwrap the book like a present. It just adds this new element of sparkle and enchantment, a little pixie dust to our homeschool, as the brave writer author Julie Bogart would say. This is a brave writer idea that I got from her. It's always been a big hit with us. So once my son opened up his book, we grabbed our things and headed out to the living room. That was his choice. I always try to give my kids as many choices in our school as possible because I want them to be self-directed, but also I feel like I need a little control over it too right now. So I guess it's a little bit of a, I'm kind of torn there. So we do use curriculums, but I try to give my kids as many choices within that as possible. So for example, right now, my son, he's just chosen where he wants to do school, and now he's choosing where we're going to start. So we're starting out with a science selection. This is his space encyclopedia. So we're reading all about the atmosphere and kind of what is outer space. So he's getting pretty into this. I've been waiting very excitedly for when my kids will get into outer space. So both of them are studying outer space in school this year, which is super exciting. And we're going to be able to do a lot together to enhance both their learning this year. So I'm really excited about that. So reading this page probably would only take a couple of minutes for us, but it took definitely a lot longer than that because we were stopping and talking and having conversations about what we were seeing in the page, what were his likes and dislikes, just kind of going into it a little bit more. There's no reason to just read the page. So next we were going to dive into our history selection. We used Story of the World for history, and he wanted to keep looking at the space book while I was reading history, and I am totally fine with that. My son is one of those people who needs to be doing something and not just listening to me read the book, so I was fine if he wanted to look at the space book there at the same time. I'm the same way, really. I can't watch TV and do nothing. It drives me crazy. I haven't been to a movie in probably a decade because it's dark and I can't do anything else in a movie theater while the movie's going on. So yeah, I guess he has one of my quirks at least. And as you can see, he's also been fidgeting with that ribbon that I had used to gift wrap his literature selection this morning. And that, of course, totally okay with me too. So we finished up history and I grabbed my handy dandy clipboard. If you missed my organization video, I will link to that up in the corner. And I will also put that in the description box below. So go check that out later if you missed that one. And so we grabbed his worksheet, which was a map worksheet, and we head out to the dining room so that we had a table to work on that. So what he's doing for his map work today is he's coloring certain sections, certain colors, and tracing over the letters. And I let him choose what he wanted to use to color and what he wanted to use to write with. And he picked a Sharpie, of course, because what is more appealing to a 6-year-old boy than a Sharpie? And then we just had some regular markers that he chose to do the coloring of the different countries on there. Once we were finished with that, he needed to write the word space on a piece of paper. That was his curriculum's next assignment. So I grabbed a black piece of construction paper, and a silver paint pen. just to make that writing a little bit more interesting. My son is somewhat of a reluctant writer. He does not enjoy writing things out. So I try to think of fun and exciting ways to make it just a little bit more interesting for him. So not only did he write the word space, but he continued on drawing this what ended up being a very elaborate picture on this piece of paper. And he actually did a little bit more writing because he started labeling things that he was drawing. So that was pretty exciting. So if you notice on that piece of paper, he did write the word sun. He misspelled that. I didn't say a thing about it. I simply praised him for writing all of that and labeling everything and doing such a great job. And then maybe in a week or two, I'll end up using the word sun for copy work so that he can learn how to spell that correctly. I definitely do not want to discourage him from writing. So if I was to correct his spelling right now, he would get discouraged. Like, I know my kid and that's how he is. So yeah, we'll just loop it back on that and work on the spelling of that word at a later date by the time he's probably forgotten about this piece of paper. So I had pulled out our Hebrew book all ready to go. He was so incredibly proud of this piece of paper though that I wanted to go ahead and save it. I keep one box for each kid. And what I'm doing on the back there is just writing his name and the date so that we can save it and I'll know, looking back, what it is. So then I set that one aside and I pull our Hebrew book back. This is our first week using the Bright Beginnings book. This is our first day, actually. It's a few days later when I am doing this voiceover, so I can tell you this week that we've been using it has been fantastic. We are big fans of these books now. I feel like my son is learning a lot, and it's a really fun way to learn as well. So we're just going over the instructions here, learning the concepts, and then he'll be able to go into his independent work with this book. I'm noticing while I'm looking at this video right now that my son's pod and Dexcom are showing up a lot in this video. So if you don't know, if you're new around here, my son does have type 1 diabetes. So he does wear a couple of medical devices to help us handle that. And I'll link a video up in the corner and also in the description box below a little bit more about our life with his type 1 diabetes. Okay, so here he is working on his independent work there in his Hebrew book in the Bright Beginnings book. And I've whipped out the paint pens again for him to use because those are just super fun. And I know that he does not super enjoy handwriting type activities. Well, even with the paint pens, it turned out it wasn't that exciting. He finished one of those little bubble boxes and then wanted to move on to something else. So we moved into the kitchen and the computer so that he could work on his math. We use Math Seeds for math, and that's what he's working on right there. Math Seeds is another program that we have been really happy with. The program teaches my kids the lessons, and I just have to pop in if they're just having trouble grasping a concept or something like that. So I've been really happy with that from my end as well. And the kids love it because it's on the computer. So yeah, he's just working on a little bit of that there. And yeah, I guess we'll see what happens next.
I did just speak with my daughter and she does want to do school today, so we'll probably get started with her pretty soon also. I just want to see how far I can go with my son before he needs a really big break. He already said that he didn't want to do Hebrew, so we stopped doing that and we'll go back to it later. I think maybe his hand was getting tired. I don't know. He does still have some writing to do later, so I've got a few tricks up my sleeve on how we can make that happen because I know he does not love to write, but trying to inspire him to do more writing. So, okay, well, I'm gonna head back to the kids, see where my son is at with his math, and see about getting started with my daughter.
So after my son was finished with his math, we grabbed our literature selection, which is The Trumpet of the Swan. This book is new to me, so I'm super excited to dive into that with them. And I just, as we're finishing stuff off, I'm marking off on our checklist. As you can see, we are not going in order, and that is why I love the checklist style. So the book that we were reading takes place in Canada. So we found Canada on our globe. And in the book also, the little boy keeps a diary. So my son really liked this concept, and me wanting to encourage anything to do with writing, I grabbed a little journal for my son to use as a diary. And so he was very excited about this, and he grabbed a pen and put his name on the cover, wrote his name, that it was his diary, and started writing on the inside. And a little bit later, we went back to Hebrew and we found highlighters. And so highlighters were a new writing implement for my son. He's never used those before. So that ended up being a really big hit for him. He's been using the highlighters all week long for anything that he can. So at this point, my son was doing fine working independently, and I knew we'd had at least a little bit of time. So I grabbed my daughter's books, and she chose to work here in my craft room. So I let her pick which book she wanted to do first, and she, of course, chose the book that I hate the most, but that's okay. I read the chapter we needed to from that. She loved it, and crossed that off on the list, and then she chose to work on her language arts notebook next. She absolutely loves working in her notebooks. So I gave her a marker to work with, and she started practicing writing the letter S. She needed to trace it and then write it on her own. So she does that, and then she'll end up drawing some pictures on the page and usually some pictures on the other page. So while she was working on that, I left to go set my son up on his next activity because I knew he'd be at least pretty close to done with his Hebrew. Okay, so I said that he doesn't really enjoy writing, so I had one of my little tricks up my sleeve, and I gave him some dry erase markers and told him to do his copy work on our window. Now, this was a big hit, and he super enjoyed that. So then I went back in to my daughter. We grabbed a few of her books, and she wanted to come out to the couch, so I let her choose what we would do next. After a little eeny, meeny, miny, mo, we chose Children Just Like Me. So we started working on that, reading our page on North America, the overview of North America. And while that was going on, my son continued to write on the window. And I just kept checking stuff off on my list, kind of going, back and forth between the two of them is quite the juggling act, but it works.
All right, it's getting on towards lunchtime now, so we're all gonna take a break here and get some lunch. Pretty stoked that we're pretty much almost done with everything. My son just has to finish writing on the window, which he's wrapping up right now. He's almost done, just a few words left. The little two are playing outside. I'm gonna throw some lunch together, and then we just have a few little things for my daughter to do this afternoon, and then we can hopefully go on a nature outing. I have nature outing on their schedules because I wanted to do something this week. I don't know what though. It's pretty hot and humid and gross outside. So I don't know if that nature outing is going to be maybe searching for bugs in the backyard, or if we'll try to get out of the house and maybe go walk around a lake or something. So we'll see.
For lunch, I made the kids little mini pizzas and served them with French fries. I don't know if this is a geographical thing or a Jewish thing, but I had never heard of serving pizza with French fries until I started going to kosher pizza restaurants, and it was like a completely and totally normal thing. So if you have ever heard of pizza and French fries, let me know, and let me know where you live. So at this point, lunch was over, and I decided to set my daughter up with her artist study. So she's looking on my computer at her work of art, and she's talking about it and pointing things out. I'm asking her a few questions, and then we all started getting ready to leave the house. So I decided that we did need to just get out of the house and not just in our backyard. So we headed out in the car for a drive and went to one of our favorite nature preserves to just enjoy some sunshine, some fresh air, and a much needed change of location.
So we did come out. We ended up leaving the house. We came out here to one of our favorite nature preserves. The kids just walked up. There's a pavilion over here down that little trail, so they just went to go check that out real quick. And yeah, the little one is sleeping right now, so that's convenient. He needs a nap. He woke up before 6 o'clock this morning. I was up, he came out to join me, so yeah, could for sure use a little extra rest. I knew he'd nap at some point, I just wasn't really sure when. But yeah, we all really needed to get out of the house. School's been going great. Cool. That's great. Good. So anyways, school has been going great and we are almost finished. We ended up doing our composer study on the way over here in the car. So that was really fun. Knocked that off the list. All that's left after this, which is our nature outing, which is what I had scheduled for both kids today. So that's awesome. We'll go home. My son still has to do his dart for the Brave Writer. And I asked him in the car over here, I said, do you want to read Charlotte's Web again? Because we did just read it like 2 months ago. And he said that, yeah, he did want to read it again. So we'll read a little bit of that. And then my daughter she's like one more thing to do, and I can't remember what it is. The book, I'm waiting on a book to come for her in the mail, and since that's not here, we'll probably just read a little extra of that tomorrow instead of doing it today. But I think she still has one more thing to do, so I'll have to check that. We may be done after this with her. We'll have to see. All right, I'm gonna go grab them out of the woods, and we're gonna walk around this lake and just kind of do our nature thing. Oh, here they come. Perfect timing.
This lake is about a mile around, which is a really good distance for my kids to walk. Not too far, not too long, but also not too short. And there are always plenty of really cool opportunities to see nature along the way.
Okay, so we have walked a little over halfway around the lake. We've seen a couple of egrets, a couple different kinds of egrets, and we saw a couple of hawks, and we got to hear them calling out to each other. I don't know, that was really neat. My son really got a kick out of that. Yeah, we're really enjoying the walk. It feels like we have the lake to ourselves. We've seen just like two other like small groups of people, and easy to keep a distance. This is great. You guys having fun?
Yeah.
Good. But it is hot. I'm sure it's 90 something. And yeah, so we're gonna just walk back to the car and then head home and enjoy a nice relaxing afternoon after this. Just finish up those last couple things for school, and then kids can chill with iPads. I can take a break.
Yeah.
It's exhausting teaching all day. Okay, so we made it home. I came in here so I could check the list and see what we have left to do. So my daughter needs to do her math. My son just needs to go over the DART stuff for language arts. So we're gonna go read a chapter of Charlotte's Web. Work on our DART. I'm so excited.
So I got my daughter set up back again on the computer so that she could do her math. We use the program Math Seeds, and we have been super happy with that. It allows my children to really be just totally self-led in their math, really. And so she was going to work on that. And while she was working on her math, my son and I went into the living room and settled down on the couch with Charlotte's Web to start discussing all the things that the DART had us discussing about Charlotte's Web during our week 1 of the DART. Was so excited about this, and we had so much fun. It is such a great book, and it was really great to sit and discuss and learn from the book.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, the day is done. That's it. The last thing that my daughter had to do was to do her math. And the last thing that my son needed to do was our DART for today. So we did that. It was great. I think my son probably would have kept going, especially after our great break there at the lake, which is funny because, the lake, going and walking around the lake, like I had on the schedule, part of our school was to go on a nature outing. Do any of my kids think that was school? Doubtful. Did they think that when we listened to Bach on the way over that was school? Doubtful. There's just so much that we do for school that they probably don't really think of as learning, but it totally is. And that's just something that I really, really love about homeschool and how we've set up our education here at home. But anyway, speaking of education at home, remember this is a collab with Chana over at Jewish Education at Home. So be sure to pop on over to her channel when you're done here and watch her video. I will link to her channel and her video down in the description below. And that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day now. What time is it? Yeah, it's almost 4 o'clock. It's just before 4 o'clock. So that gives me a little time to sit and relax here in my craft room, prepare for school tomorrow. And yeah, I'll just make dinner for the kids, and I think they're just going to chill the rest of the day and watch some shows and stuff. So yeah, that's our day. But thanks so much for coming along. I would call this a very typical school day for us. And I guess I didn't realize kind of how long the school day was, because I feel like we were really doing stuff most of the day. But I don't know, it didn't really feel like, it never really feels like we do that much school. But I guess, it's 4 o'clock. Then again, what time did we start? I don't know. We probably didn't start till around 10:30 or 11. So I guess that's like 3 or 4 hours of school. Oh, we had a lunch break though too. So I'd say maybe 2.5, 3 hours of school, but I'm including our nature outing in there. So I guess like bookwork stuff, maybe only about an hour and a half, about. So I don't know, people are always asking like, how long do you school during the day? I'd say about an hour and a half of like bookwork. But you know, really like the whole day was educational. So, all right. So thank you guys. Hi.
Abby.
No. You're not going to be in a video. No, you watch your video. I'll be right there. So thank you guys all so much for watching my video today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I do always enjoy sharing these videos with you. Drop me a note in the comments. Let me know what your days are looking like these days. If you're COVID schooling or homeschooling or finally getting your kids out of the house because they're back at school. Or, you know, whatever you're doing. If you don't have kids, what are you doing all day? I'd love to know how you guys are holding up at this point in the COVID. I know for me, some days are better than others. But yeah, drop me a note. Let me know how you guys are doing. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of my future videos. And have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next upload.